Welcome everybody to the Talk to the Entities Beings of Light book launch. I am so honored that all of you guys are here. How does it get better? What a strange, bizarre time to be doing this. We had to change this book launch from being live in Rome, Italy at the facilitators class to being online, just because I'm going to give some info for anybody listening to this in the future. We're doing this book launch during the time of the coronavirus. So all of us are at our houses. We're just getting together online. It's a good time to read a new book because you've probably got a lot of time on your hands. So thank you for being here. I heard that there was a little bit of trouble with Amazon and buying the book today. I don't know what's going on with that. Sorry, guys. You know, I don't know why that was happening. Amazon is a little bit of a mystery to me. They like make up their own prices and do their own thing. And I think some countries don't have Amazon and so on and so forth. So you can always buy a paperback version on the Access website. Maybe somebody, one of the girls could put the links. Also, we might actually put the ebook on the Talk to the Entity shop so you can buy it directly from us. It's just there was we didn't want to mess with ebook versions because everyone has like different readers, and Amazon sort of is compatible with like all the different readers out there. So it's been a little bit of a working with the systems kind of a thing. If you were not able to purchase the book today, do email info@Talk to the Entities or contact somebody that you know that works with me, and we will help you get the book. Another thing that I recommend, if you ever are having problems purchasing anything from Talk to the Entities, oops, somebody's making some noise. Whoever just came on, okay, they got muted. If you're ever having trouble purchasing anything from Talk to the Entities or signing up for Talk to the Entities, you do need to like clear the entities or ask them to stand farther away from you, or really acknowledge that there might be some entities interfering with that technology for you right there. That's like a legitimate issue we have with the Talk to the Entities website 24/7. So recognize that you'll be interfacing with entities in a completely unique and different way, and entity clearings can make it work instantaneously. So tell your friends about that too, because we have got to tell people all the time about that. So how does it get better? And my little sister and my nephews are here. Hello, Muffin. It's so nice to see you. I'm so grateful for all of you guys being here. Connecting, hello. Connecting with all of you guys right now is actually making me feel a lot better. So thank you for showing up. It's weird right now, and how does it get better? So what would you guys like to do today? I can talk a little bit about how the Beings of Light book got created. Oh, side note. You'll notice I'll say, how would you guys like to do it? And then I'll just go on my own tangent because I'll get the information. There is an audiobook coming. If you guys want to listen to a clip of the audiobook, on the beingsoflightbook.com website, there's a little 8-minute clip that we've got there for you guys that you can hear. I personally think it's awesome. And it's really interesting to me how I can actually read this book aloud. I'm extremely dyslexic, which is why I couldn't do the audiobook for the first Talk to the Entities book. But for whatever reason, this book is like butter for me. So this will come out as an audiobook version in a month or two. As soon as I get home to Sweden, I can finish recording it, but we've got sort of like the first half. So just in case we get, because a lot of people have been asking, so you know, there will be an audiobook version. And yeah, cool. So what are your guys' questions? What do you guys want to talk about? I don't know what happens at a book launch.
Tell us how you decided to write about the book.
So the first Talk to the Entities book took about 10 years to write, literally. I am an extremely slow bookmaker, and this book took about, I would say it took 3 years, so I'm getting faster. I did the first Talk to the Entities book, and that, if any of you guys have read that book, how many of you guys had your universe and stuff shift around after reading that first book? And so what happened, what's also been happening is, as Talk to the Entities has been infecting more people, and as access has been growing stronger and getting more people are getting engaged with it, it's changing the universe. And in the beginning of Talk to the Entities, the beings of light I wasn't conscious of them. And I've written that in the Beings of Light book too. Like in the beginning with Talk to the Entities, it was just like clearing, a lot of entity clearing, and then talking to them. And then what started to happen was, through enough clearing and enough acknowledging of the spirit world and enough talking to the entities, like my strength grew and the universe actually changed. And what became available was receiving from everything, but in this conversation and context, receiving became available from great spirits, which is something that I'm like cautious to talk about, because that can that's a conversation that that has been very severely abused over time, and also something that a lot of people have a lot of past very bad lifetimes and memories of, as I did too. So I had a lot of resistance to receiving from ghosts, because I didn't want to be like possessed, or I didn't want to be weird, or I didn't want to let them close to me, and I didn't want them to touch me, and I like all this stuff about control and powerlessness and creepy and all that. So all of the like creepy, powerless, implanting, explanting, like demon whispers that you've been like given, or that you sold, or that you told in any lifetime, that prevents and infects you against receiving from the great beings of light. Will you guys destroy and uncreate all that? Some of you, right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, talk, shirts, boys and beyonds. Because we sort of have this gift in life, which is, one of which is receiving. And there are super beings that are part of life that so few people recognize and receive from. And the people that have received from them, like there's stories in the Bible about people receiving from like God, but they called it God, but I actually think it was like light beings, like Moses, how he like received the 10 commandments. He like literally received, that's what they call it. So this is a time where we can step into that great source of energy and greater power, if you're willing to trust you and you're willing to know what you know. And that's what everything in Access is designed to do, empower you to know that you know. And one of the things that I know is how to talk to ghosts. And that's the entire entity kingdom. So that's like the super obnoxious, gross, disgusting, like pathetic entities. That's the demons. That's all of your deceased relatives. It's all of my deceased ancestors. It's all of the nature spirits. And it's also the vast spectrum of conscious, kind beings that exist. And so opening the door to talking to the entities included the beings of light. And it took me way more than a decade to understand what I was doing. And so the Beings of Light book came in drips and drabs, and people were like, when are you going to write the next book? And I was like, I don't even know what it's about, but I knew there was something more. And the receiving aspect of Talk to the Entities is the third and most sort of like profound, but definitely the most intense. And so that's where this book came from. It was written with me by the beings of light, and for opening the door for others to connect with this possibility. So what have been some of your guys' experience with the book? Because I know it's a tiny little book, so most of you guys read it in like one or two seatings. You should have read it in two readings, because there's a section that says do not read the next chapter till tomorrow, which is when we enter into the demon section. So hopefully you guys are actually stopping there, that the book is designed that way. What's some of the stuff that you guys have been getting from the book? You can ask questions. I'm open to whatever you guys want to talk about today.
Shannon.
Yeah.
Hi. It's Danielle. And I just am so grateful for the book. I've read up through the receiving chapter. And it's just, there's a part of me that has always known, been very aware of the light beings, but like you had a lot of clearing to do before I could actually receive.
Yeah.
And I don't really have a question, but just so grateful for like more, I don't even know if like confirmation of like what I already knew, if that's the best way to say it. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and hopefully the book is going to be able to like access some stuff for you guys. I also recommend reading it multiple times, of course, because the more you read it, the more it'll like work on you. I don't write to entertain. I actually write as a facilitation, not really intentionally, but that's what I do. What I institute is a facilitation of the energies. So reading it more than once. And when you get in an audiobook too, it's going to be like awesome. Like I've listened to some of it, and I don't usually like listening to my own stuff. In fact, I don't. But this one I actually really like listening to. So that's just me promoting me to myself.
We've got a hand up from Lapisha as well.
Okay. Oh yeah, I see you.
Lapisha, I'm going to unmute you.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, I wanted to know where can I find the hard copy of the same book?
Yeah, so if you look in the chat, I think somebody probably put the link on the Access website. You can buy it as a paperback. Amazon is, I don't know what, Amazon is apparently like having some, I don't actually know what's going on. Some people have had a fine time ordering through Amazon and some don't. Of course, depending on the country that you're in makes a difference too. Grace, do you want to say anything about?
In India.
You're in India. Where can Lapisha get a copy of the hardback easiest? Should we direct? She's in Bombay, so do we direct her to the Access website or to Amazon?
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Hi. Christine, do you?
Oh, is Christine here?
Yeah, hi Shannon. So she can also
Hi.
place an order through the Access shop, and then we can have it printed and shipped to her. And
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Lapisha, I'm putting the link again in the chat for you, so it'll be right down the bottom. It's throughout the whole chat too. People are putting the link for the Access bookshop in there. So if any of you guys want to get a paperback version, that's where you order it, okay?
Okay, yeah. All right, I'll do that.
Can I talk a little bit about Amazon?
Yes, please. I'd love to hear it too.
Sorry. So what happens sometimes when because we print on demand, is that it'll say it's out of stock, but if you keep clicking, you can still buy it. So sometimes it's like, normally when you buy from Amazon, it's a one click, right? And you're kind of checked out and you can just buy everything. But sometimes you just have to keep going, and then it should be able to order it. But
yeah, thank you, Christine. So there's that, you guys be aware of that. But if you want to get the paperback, like I would love it if you bought it through Access directly. I would prefer the money go to Access. So just do that. And again, it's like if you're having trouble buying anything that's Talk to the Entities related, clear the entities, then try again. I guarantee you it works, okay? Now, someone's asked me a question in the chat. Shannon, are you going to have a class about the beings of light? So yes, I wanted to get this book released before I set a date for, so I've done 2 beings of light classes so far. One in Vienna that was one day, that was like in 2017, I think. And then one in Castle Borgone last year. And that was a 3-day class, I believe. And I wanted to get this book out before I looked at doing another class. So I'm gonna let this book simmer out in the universe for a while, and obviously let the smoke settle from all of the stuff that's going on right now with the world. And then we will look at getting a Beings of Light class on the calendar, a live class with me. However, it's my most advanced class, so you have to have done all the other Talk to the Entities classes. And if you're curious about doing Beings of Light stuff, please start with the Talk to the Entities beginning class, okay? You have to start there anyways. So, yeah.
Sabina is
May
next to
I
the hand up.
ask a question?
Of course. Please. I just want to remember to address this thing about where do I find the exercises that you talked in the book, please, because there's actually need to tell you. Can you just hold your question for a second so I could answer that one before I forget? Because I did want to tell everybody. There's some audio resources that go with the book, and you have to go to the beingsoflightbook.com and go to audio resources and opt in. You just register there and you get the email with all the downloads. However, only one of the exercises is in there right now. The other two are eluding me. Like, I cannot even tell you guys. I don't know what this is. When I go to it's literally been years that I've been trying to get those in that file. So it's this weird, I'm having a very weird creative experience with that. So just do know, guys, that if you've opted in, you've signed up for the audio extras, you'll get the teammate exercise that is specifically for this book, but you'll also get 2 other exercises when they come. And I don't know why they can't, like, literally I even tried to create one a couple mornings ago for the book, but like they started doing construction next door literally the second I pressed record to do it. And so it's like, it's one thing after another that keeps coming up that's sort of strange, and I don't know what's going on with this, but I promise you they will be there. If you opt in for the audio resources on the beingsoflightbook.com site, you will get them when you get them. Okay? Cool. Please. Now, questions.
There are certain white. What?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's do Indian accent first and then the other person.
Cool. Hi, Shannon.
Hi.
There are certain white particles around. What are they? Some gold particles and white particles. Are they here to contribute in this Zoom meeting?
Well, you tell me what they are.
I don't know, but they keep on showing up many
If you
times.
don't know, I don't know either. So probably what we want to do is we want to keep this conversation to talking about the book and what's possible there, not personal facilitation. And I would invite you to really do look at what you know, because part of the trouble with this whole area is looking to others to be the source of your knowing. If you aren't willing to own that for yourself, are you really receiving?
What's called?
Okay, who is the second question?
Hi, Shannon. My name is also Shannon.
Hi.
I'm a psychiatric nurse. I read your first book, not the second one, and I'm curious to know what's available in the realms of psychiatry, working with, like schizophrenia.
Yeah. So
things.
There's a product in the Talk to the Entity shop called Mental Disorders and Entities that would probably be the place to begin. Some of the Talk to the Entities facilitators do facilitate that mental disorders class. The one in the shop is my class that I did. And some of the other facilitators, I think Anthony Mattis does facilitate the mental disorders and entities, Talk to the Entities class, and some others might as well. I don't know off the top of my head. That's very much the place to begin. Because what you need to recognize is that people who are diagnosed with like hearing voices, that's actually what they're doing. They're actually talking to entities. And so it's a place of empowerment rather than medicating, which is obviously a very radical point of view and one that you will very easily get attacked about if you talk to too many people about it. However, I have had tremendous success with working with people. I do not practice, obviously, within the form and structure that you do as a psychiatric nurse or a therapist that's out in sort of like this reality. That being said, many people have had tremendous success using the tools of access and Talk to the Entities with people who have entity sensitivities. But something that you should definitely know is that in order for somebody to really like get well, who has like what I call like an entity diagnosis, like schizophrenia, multiple personality, borderline personality, to name a few, are what I would call like entity sensitivity diagnoses. Those people, in order for them to get really well, have to actually want to admit that they're talking to entities first and foremost, and then they have to be willing to learn how to deal with them. which is what I also had to do. I would have become a paranoid schizophrenic if I hadn't had access, who either would have been a drug addict or killed myself. So I consider myself to be the first success story of Talk to the Entities, someone who chose awareness over insanity. And I really envision a time and work towards the space and place where entity awareness is not considered fringe or freakish, but actually like mainstream psych therapy. So where I would start with you, if I was you, is I would just be like, number one, recognize the people who are entity aware, like the people that you're working with. Like, and then once you know it, it creates this sort of like permission for them to not be so freaked out. And you just need to ask like, okay, who can hear this? And clear the entities, you know? That's
Shannon,
what I would do.
Shannon, number 2, have you done a beginning class as well? Shannon, most of fees.
Yeah, say that again.
Have you done a beginning class?
Have I done? No, I haven't.
I think that'd be like the very foremost place to start too, because that's all the foundational tools of Talk to the Entities.
Entity work,
Yeah.
and it's so interesting because in the whole like entity sensitivity, entity awareness, entity diagnoses, like entity sickness stuff is so blown out of proportion just because people don't know the basic tools of clearing and communicating with entities. And when you learn how simple it is to clear entities, and then you learn how powerfully profound and easy it is to talk to entities and what that creates, you're like, sort of like, dude, why is no one else doing this? And why didn't somebody teach me this before? So what you learn in the Talk to the Entities beginning are literally like, it's literally every single tool. And there's not even that many because dealing with entities is actually not really that complicated. You learn every tool that you need to like deal with entities, except receiving, because receiving isn't a tool. Receiving is a part, is like being. And that's something that has to strengthen in your consciousness, which is why we do that more in the advanced classes, which is what the Beings of Light book is more about.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trust yourself. That's my advice. Okay. Fatma! I unmuting you.
Hi. Thank you. I will just ask that I took the beginning class last year, and I'm choosing to also see. I'm communicating and receiving and do all those things, and I'm choosing to see, but I'm not seeing anything.
Well, what are you aware of that you're discarding and contextualizing as seeing? You have to, what if sight was the least of what you could be aware of?
Sorry?
So you have to, especially with the entity, which part didn't you hear? What if sight was the least of what you could be aware of?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to start to recognize what you're perceiving and the ways in which you're perceiving. Because it's sort of like you have to ask, what are you aware of? Not what aren't you, like what are you aware of? Not what aren't you aware of? And what you're doing is, I'm not aware, I'm not seeing, which is some sort of way in which you're invalidating what you are perceiving. That was, dude, that was literally the #1 tool that my dad gave me when I first opened the door and acknowledged that I was like talking to ghosts. I was like, this is weird, I don't know how to do this. And he was like, okay, so you have to start looking at like what you are aware of. And then the journey began. And you have to acknowledge what you're aware of and the ways in which you're aware of it. So like, you have to acknowledge the ways in which you do sense ghosts and the ways in which the communication does occur to you. And that can be as your own thoughts, or it can be as a weird taste in your mouth, or like a sensation down your throat, or a mood you get, etc., 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 etc. Because we're all so unique in the ways in which we function. However, we are all aware, full stop. So what are you aware of? And what if sight was the least of what you could perceive.
Okay.
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 Sight, you need to be very careful about the point of view of seeing and sight, because sight can be heavily manipulated by your points of view. Like literally, your brain starts wiring itself to the reality that you like believe. It's so weird. So I would encourage you guys to see what you're aware of, not see what your eyes can see. Okay?
Okay.
Like literally, if you wore glasses that like flipped everything upside down, because you know how they have glasses like that, like you put on and they flip everything upside down, within like 3 days to a week, you would literally adjust to that new way of seeing reality is upside down. Sight is extremely malleable and manipulatable, and not to necessarily be the reference point for reality. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
Totally. That's a big one. And the reason I'm going on and on about this is because I get how that easily distracted, how easily people can be distracted by the reference point of sight.
Okay.
What if awareness has, yeah, totally. It's like, what if awareness has nothing to do with what you see, but everything that you are aware of?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so just keep asking, what am I aware of? What am I aware of? What am I aware of? What is this strange awareness that I have no reference point or definition for yet?
Yeah. And not to try to see with the eyes.
And not to try to define and control it into something you already understand. What if there are what if there's new universes and new awarenesses and new possibilities to discover?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So another question that's got tapped in on the Skype: how can we empower kids to get them to acknowledge the beings of light? I took the TTT class intro and beginning. I have the tools, but can't seem to clear some entities in my two-year-old. Might her teammates help with that? Okay, there's a couple different things going on in that question. Number one. Oh, there's so many things going on there. With kids, they learn through your example and through your being, not through what you say. So if you're like, if you used to be resistant to entities and didn't want to be aware of them, you need to acknowledge that that might be what you energetically taught and imprinted your children with. And now you need to be what shows them a different possibility. Children listen to what you be, not to what you say. So if you're saying don't be afraid, but you are actually afraid, they can tell that there's an incongruity and they won't be able to trust you and they won't listen to you. And in fact, you're teaching them to not trust their own knowing because you're a demonstration of not trusting you. So children are going to be your best teachers because they will respond to what you be, period, better than anything else, like animals and children. And so with your children, you have got to recognize that they're going to respond to what you believe is real and true, not to what you say. I've also got a children and entities product in the Talk to Entity shop that is like golden if you have entity aware children. And what you said here in this thing is that you can't clear some entities from your 2-year-old. So what I would be asking is like, okay, so does she have some entity awareness? Does she have entity abilities? Because many of you guys are going to have children, and many of you guys were children with entity abilities. Did anyone ever teach you how to use them? So what I would do if I were you with my children, and what I do with my stepchildren and with everybody, I sort of treat children and adults the same, is you have to acknowledge the ability, like, cool, are you aware of entities? Will you, and with children, this is what you want to say, will you show me how this works for you? Now with a 2-year-old, obviously saying it out loud is not necessarily going to lead to like a super direct conversation. But if you energetically in your head say to her, ooh, what are you aware of? Will you show me how your awareness of entities work? She'll start showing you stuff and you will start getting information about that. But if you resist her awareness and you resist what she's aware of, you will teach her that she too needs to resist what she's aware of. So be open for your children's sake. Show them that awareness is a strength and it's not wrong. It's strong. And then you learn the tools, teach the entity clearing tools to your children, practice with them, and teach them how to talk to entities. Get out your manual. The more you exhibit and demonstrate these processes, the more your children will see them as something that's okay to function from in reality. So this is the time more than ever to trust what you know and to practice and strengthen, because a lot of us aren't very in shape for dealing with awareness, let alone talking to ghosts, because it's not something that most people have practiced. So if it feels weird in the beginning, don't worry, keep doing it. It will come to you. It develops like every exercise, okay? Now you guys are flowing in the questions here. This is cool. Alejandro wrote in, good morning from Mexico. I wanted to share that my 8-year-old has nightmares, and I did with her the exercise of letting the beings of light get close and touch us. She slept right away with no nightmares. I gotta be honest with you guys. I used to have this rainbow. I had this pillowcase when I was a kid. It was Rainbow Bright. And if you guys don't know who Rainbow Bright is, you can like Google her, because she was like an American cartoon, but she was rainbow and she was bright. And when I would have like a lot of entity awareness of not fun entities, I would like put my attention on my Rainbow Bright pillowcase. And I actually think that's how I connected to the beings of light as a child too. So teach your children how to be connected with the beings of light through your own willingness and through the exercise. I don't know what exercise Alejandra, like, are you talking about an exercise that you got from one of my classes, or is it something that you did with her from your own?
She was in the advanced class in Mexico City.
Did I do a beings of light exercise there? I don't think so.
Contribution team.
They're not called a contribution team. They're called teammates. Everyone in Mexico calls them a contribution team. Just so
That's
everyone
knows, it's translated in Spanish, sorry.
Oh, really? Can you not say teammates?
You can, but we have to change, I don't know, the beginning manual.
It's not an accurate translation because it sets us up to not really understand. It doesn't set up the right dynamic. So anyways, I don't know where she got the beings of light thing, but I'm glad it worked for her. Also, if you've already done Talk to the Entities beginning through advanced, you can purchase the Beings of Light classes that I've already done that are full of exercises. So there's the one from Vienna and there's the one from Casa Bogoni, but they're in the advanced shop, meaning you have to get a password, meaning you have to contact the help desk, and they will give you access to that shop, okay? Okay, guys, anything else?
Hi, Shannon.
Hi.
I wanted to congratulate you and the Beings of Light.
Cool.
Thank you so much. My gratitude.
Oh, well, thank you. I am also very proud of myself. It's really weird to work on something for so long and have especially this kind of a book, because it's such an energetic book. And to put it out there and see how it works. I was sort of shocked when I saw how little it was. You guys will see, like, as the paperback, it actually looks a lot bigger on camera than it does in real life. In real life, it's as big as my hand and it's quite skinny. And it was weird to see how small it was because it's such potent, powerful content. I think I call this thing like, it's like a Horcrux. It's like this weird, unassuming object that contains lots of power, except it doesn't hold a piece of Voldemort's soul. It holds a key to a lighter, brighter world. So,
hey, Shannon.
Yes?
How are you? This is Eugene. I'm with Shannon. She asked you a question earlier.
Yes, hi.
But I just wanted to ask you a question too. I read your first book too. Amazing. Thank you. And I wanted to ask you your opinion of ayahuasca forest medicine. And, you know, we've gone to Brazil and done ayahuasca, and we've experienced a lot of like mediumship through ayahuasca, and wondering, are these entities or spirits, or like in their culture they call it caboclas, that come through, and sometimes there's even controlled our bodies. And what's your opinion of that is?
Well, I hope you do read the Beings of Life book, because there actually is a section on there about, I mean, it's throughout the book. Like, I even talk about like the difference between like being touched and filled with the spirit, like by the spirit, and possession, because it's sort of like a very fine line between the two. And what, I mean, number one, something that my dad says about ayahuasca, I don't have my own personal experience with ayahuasca, nor will I this lifetime, so I can't really speak to it from a personal place. But what I do know is that what my dad talks about is that ayahuasca actually creates like holes in your like subtle bodies. That's sort of the way to, sort of like holes in your being, which really shouldn't be there. Doing drugs opens you up to like an awareness dynamically, obviously, depending on the drug. And I think that they can serve a purpose. I think that they can serve a purpose. And with the entities that you let in, you really need to add consciousness to it, because when you open up to the spirit world, you open yourself up to all of them, the great and the gross. And so with what you're talking about, you just want to like look at, okay, do I still have any entities hanging around from that experience? Do I have any entities attached to me? Do I have any drug entities attached to me? Because you can pick up on entities who died from drug overdoses, or who are like attached in some way to like drugs. I got a real wake-up call in regards to drugs when I started really talking to entities, because I started to deal with entities that had died of drug overdoses like years and years and years and decades ago, and they were still like frozen and stuck from the drugs. Drugs create a level of unconsciousness and anti-consciousness that literally nothing else does. So you just need to be like aware of that with drugs. And then with your ayahuasca experiences and all those like shamanic art forms and stuff, like the thing that I really say is like, if it's light, like that's the right direction. And if it's heavy at all, it's probably a lie. So that goes for ghost awareness too. Like you need to look at that. It's like, did that create lightness in your universe, or did it create any heaviness in your universe, kind of a thing?
I see.
And I'm a proponent of like letting entities touch you and letting them into your body. I'm like a little different. I live in a very entity positive world where I'm not afraid of spirits, but I am also very aware of spirits, meaning I don't just like let any spirit touch me, but I am the same with people. I don't really let people, I'm very aware of people and their agendas too. So that goes for the spirit world. You just need to be aware of the entities and their agendas. Do talk to entities beginning, dude.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, for me, it's been very positive and healing, and there's a lot of consciousness that goes with it. So like,
cool. But you
I
obviously
feel like doctor spirits, from the astral that come in.
Right.
And,
but you guys obviously do have a lot of questions. And so like the beginning class will clarify stuff in ways that really nothing else can. Well, that's my interesting point of view.
Interesting point of view.
All right. So I'm going to take a couple more. Thank you. I'm going to take a couple. Oh, okay. Hi.
Sorry. I wanted to give you feedback about the book.
Yes. Thank you.
Amazing. It's completely mind-blowing, brilliant book. I've done your Being of Light class, and the exercises we did during the class has intensified since I'm reading book.
Yes.
And where in the book it says to read the book the next day. So I stopped there yesterday. Yes. And the last night, the exercise was so intense, but at the same time really healing. And I'm amazed as I'm more reading it, few chapters over and over, it's opening more awareness to me. So I'm really grateful to the book.
Thank you so much.
Even though after doing the class, reading the book after the class is creating more.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
Yeah. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that. Okay, there's a gentleman, Francisco. You've had your hand up for a while, patiently.
Yes. Oh. Hi.
Hi.
I have some question for you.
Okay.
recently my grandmother's died. My question is, how I check if she is on the light of she being in this world?
So can I ask you, have you done a Talk to the Entities class?
No, yet.
So I'm not here to facilitate a beginning class or even a Talk to the Entities introduction, you guys. This is about the Beings of Light book. So I really encourage you, if you want to get aware of what's going on with the spirit world, like do a class. I can't really help you with that in 3 minutes on a free call about my new book. But thank you for asking.
Thank you.
All right, you guys. So obviously there's so much. And look, those of you guys that came here with like, that don't even have the book and haven't even done a beginning class, like I'm actually really pumped that you're here. It's cool that you're getting access to Talk to the Entities and that this is something that you want more awareness with. Please, guys, we created all of these classes and the first Talk to the Entities book so that you can get these awarenesses and build these muscles. And like Sabina just said, like she's even done the Beings of Light class and then had so much more intensity reading the book. 100%, that's the way it works. You guys need to build, you guys are kind of trying to go to like astrophysics from like not even doing like a math class. So you need to start where you can start to build up these energies and abilities and practices with the spirit world to get yourself to the place of clarity and consciousness, which is possible. So I hope all of you guys take the actions to create what you know is possible. I am grateful for you being in the world and for your like interest in this. It's always blown my mind that like this is what I get paid for and this is what I get to do. It's sort of like consciousness is so cool. So please have a read of the book if you haven't yet. If you have read the book, read it again when you're ready, like when it's time, definitely pick it up again. Like every time I look at the book, I get something more from it, and I even wrote it, but I sort of like am amazed. Like some of the stuff I read, I'm like, wow, like I think it's really cool. So yeah, I don't think there's a way to end this. So I just would like to express my gratitude. And I know right now also too, it's like such a weird time on earth. Like we're going through so much weird stuff with the coronavirus, and I look forward to it disappearing as quickly as it appeared. And if you have been sick, thank your body for healing itself. I got a message from a woman today that I know who's in Access in Australia, and she had actually contracted the coronavirus about 4 weeks ago. And it's someone who I was like fully having conversations with in the advanced body class and and she said that she went home and got quite sick, but she's fine now. So it's like, recognize that your body is capable, like big time capable, and so is your consciousness. So thank you guys all so much for being here. Wish I could give you more, and I hope that you enjoy your life. Bye guys.
Bye everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Shannon. Bye.
Shannon. Bye-bye.